Intro. Like that, Steve. Something a little different. Just jumped right into the tune.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it
Hi,
is.
everybody. Look who's here. We have Steve Young from the Everywhere with Steve Young 74 channel. If you're not familiar with his channel, get over there. He has a random channel. You never know what to expect next, but I can tell you this much. I am on his channel at least once a week. So there, how you doing today, Steve?
Well, I'm doing great. Hope you are as well. As most of you already know, I am no longer doing, I'm just going to bring it up real quick if it's all right, because maybe some
Sure.
audience, I am no longer doing YouTube as a hobby. Oh, no, 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 no. That rule has changed for me. A few days ago, Matt, in fact, on the 26th, I'm now monetized.
Yay. Well,
So,
partially.
well, yeah, because I still got to make the 1,000, but I'm not that far away from the 600 mark.
I
That's
am so excited for you, Steve. But you know what? Before we get into talking about anything at all,
Mhm.
just take a brief break here because a lot of people like this video clip. Hang on.
Yeah.
Short, sweet, and adorable. Listen, Steve, I want to congratulate you again for your recent monetization. For those who are not familiar, if you happen to be a YouTuber and you don't know about this, once you hit the 500 subscriber mark and beyond that, you are now able to be partially monetized. That means you can accept a super chat. You can accept a super thanks. You can actually even open a store shelf. Yes, yes, yes. You can actually have memberships to your channel so much, Steve. Congratulations again for your recent change. You know what we're going to talk about today, though? Steve and I are going to go back to back, one turn at a time, with little swap outs in the kitchen as far as recipes go. Steve, I know that you have a few interesting ones. Want to get started with the first one?
Yeah. In the case of like eggplant parmesan or even chicken parmesan, whatever that type of you know setup. If you don't have mozzarella, one good cheese that's really good in substitution for that would be provolone. But if you don't have provolone, you could probably go ahead and use whatever you have available. And I can tell you this, considering that I've made lots and lots of different Italian dishes over my time, and I've used just about every possible cheese there is around the block. I can tell you this. If you don't have the provolone and you don't have the mozzarella, 9 times out of 10, whatever you do have in your refrigerator will work just fine. That I can tell you firsthand. Um, Munster eats fairly well. Cheddar, anything. So don't
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I can't do this. I don't have the mozzarella and I don't have the provolone. I can't. Incorrect. Yes, you can make it. You're just going to rely on whatever is readily available.
You know, Steve, I personally love that swap out because one day in the past I was making eggplant parmesan. I thought I had enough mozzarella. I did not, but I had plenty of the mild version of the provolone cheese and those little circles, you know. So put a circle on top of the circle of eggplant. It kind of like really worked out, like fit right on top of it. It was really yummy. And I
Yeah.
agree with you about the other options of cheeses too. So you work with what you have. You don't have to run to the grocery store
No.
just because or give up on your recipe. That's a good tip. I like that, Steve. All right, so I have one. This sounds really weird, Steve, but you know, like when you get a jar of pickles, don't throw away that pickle juice that's left over. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever tried it, Steve. A little bit I like to mix in my future tuna salads, for example. That's just one example. I'll drain the tuna, put maybe a tablespoon in there. That dill taste inside the salad, you could hold it to make future salad dressings or marinades for other reasons. It's really, really good. So
Hmm.
do not throw away your pickle juice.
Okay. I'm gonna. Never thought about using the pickle juice on top of tuna. Now, I do like tuna. Oh, I do like tuna because when I buy my tuna, here you go. I get it in a 10 pack. I get it at, the wholesale club. I got a really good deal on that. So, no,
That's
no, no. I'm going
good.
to try that if I ever get a jar of like Vlasic pickles because that's one of my favorite brands. I'll definitely save that juice and just add a little bit. And
It has that dill taste going on.
yeah,
If you like dill weed, it
I
really
do.
works well with that.
Mhm.
Oh, so good.
So my next tip that I have yet to try this, but I don't see how how this would be a flop. It just wouldn't. If you get plain Greek yogurt and you put um, herbs and spices in it, it is a good swap out for sour cream, and it makes a good dip. And I can see where that would work
Wow.
because because I don't know this. I'm just assuming because it's plain, it has no flavor. Um,
I love your tip, and I'll tell you why, Steve. I have done that.
mhm.
It's a great swap out for sour cream. A lot less calories, a ton less of fat, guilt free. It's like, Steve, it's like a blank canvas. So good work there on finding that tip because it really does work. You can
Yeah,
sweeten it or you can savory it. I've actually put onion soup mix in it, and I've actually made dip from that. It's quite good.
yeah, and another thing that you're also getting, it might not be a large gram quantity of it, but I can also tell you this: with Greek yogurt, you're also getting more protein from it.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. All right, so I'm kind of on this like salad dressing kick. Let me see if I could get me here on a solo. I'm kind of like on this like salad dressing kick, Steve. Bottled Italian salad dressing. There's one in particular I really love, and I know that Steve knows the one that I love. Bottled Italian dressing makes an excellent marinade as well for chicken. But I think Steve, you had another suggestion for the Italian dressing as a marinade for something else as well. Are you there?
To Yeah, you don't have to rely solely on one brand, and I think I might know the brand you're talking about. Wishbone is very good.
That's
But
it.
if you want to use a marinade, I mean, there's nothing wrong with using store brand. I'm not putting down store brand whatsoever. But if you can, in this case, I would get either like a Wishbone or Ken's Steakhouse is a good one, Newman's Own. I would get Kraft even. I would get a decent quality
Yeah.
Italian dressing. And what I was going to suggest, in addition to what you were saying, I have done this. You can take regular steak, not necessarily ribeye, but I guess you could, but something that's like sirloin or New York strip or maybe a chuck steak, something that's not, as tender. Chuck steak, I haven't really had a lot of experience with it or good turnout unless I've done it like in a roast or something or put it in the slow cooker and let it savor for hours and hours on end. Then it turns out pretty good. But if any time I've taken chuck steak and tried to do a steak out of it, it's too firm for me, unless I'm doing something wrong, which I don't think I am. But in any case, bottom line, take a decent, not top of the line, but an all right grade of Italian dressing. If you didn't want to go that great, you could probably do a vinaigrette, maybe.
Yum.
Um, as long as
I
it
love
has like
it.
an oil and vinegar type blend, and try it. The steak actually has it gives it a little bit of a
I
nice
love that idea. I think I'm going to try that in the not so distant future. Thanks so
yeah.
much, Steve.
Hmm.
So I know you coming up next with a tip.
No, your turn.
No, I did the bottled Italian dressing.
Oh, that's right. Wait a minute. Let me catch up. All right. Okay. Yeah, we're back on track. Number three here that I have is if you don't want to use any type of meat when it comes to making a lasagna, you can just as easily omit that or take it out and use canned mushrooms and canned vegetables in place of it.
I
Well,
love that idea, Steve, and it sounds like something that a person can do expeditiously
and
because they're not cooking or chopping, right?
yeah, yes, and then of course follow through with your cheeses as well. Um, but unless you actually like vegetables, and I really don't, and I know some people that don't, but most people do.
Yeah.
Um, this would be good. You would just, I'm assuming in the looks of it, it's pretty cut and dry. You would just prepare it and cut it and flavor it like you would any other lasagna. I'll have to try lasagna with vegetables in it. I'm almost thinking that I have, but I don't recall. But I'd be willing to do that because I do like mushrooms and I do like vegetables. So
Very cost effective, and the mushrooms lend like a meaty texture to it. And you could buy the ones in the little can, just drain them out and just layer your cheeses and your, mushrooms. This is great for people who just really either are on a tight meat budget or maybe just as a change of pace or enjoy vegetables. I'm all the above. I'm always willing to try. I think that's a great suggestion. I really like that, Steve.
hmm
So for me, okay, just want to mention, like a lot of people buy ramen noodles, they don't necessarily always use the flavor packet. Sometimes people just right, sometimes they just use the noodle for some other purpose. But don't throw away those flavor packets. They make a great broth. If you don't feel good, you can
hmm
make yourself a little broth there. Or use those flavoring packets if you have plain white rice. I've done it with as a chicken flavor. I've done it as a beef flavor. Steve, it really works out. The vegetable one is great. You never know when you could use it as a flavoring agent, and it really works.
I've done it myself. Whenever I make ramen noodles, even that being a blank canvas, that I've put olive oil, I've done butter, I've done spaghetti sauce, I've done many different things with ramen noodles by itself. No, save the packet because you can use it and put it in the rice, like you say. Everything you said is correct, and it does work. That saves you having to go out and buy a jar of bouillon because that's what you're putting in your ramen noodles. Really is ground up bouillon is what you're using. But no, good idea. Save the packet. Absolutely. Um, my last tip is if you're doing French toast, pancakes, waffles, whatever the case may be, and you don't have any pancake syrup, you could use honey instead. But I'll tell you what else works good too. If you don't have honey, you don't have pancake syrup. Get the clear Karo syrup, and you could use that and substitute for the other two.
I love that option because many times people have that in their pantry and they forgot about it, and that can be used. That's a really great idea.
hmm
Tastes good too.
Oh, it does.
And speaking of toppings on things, I have my final one for today. Use canned fruit as a topper, like a canned fruit cocktail, canned peaches, or canned pears, whatever you enjoy the most. Keep that. Get the little ones. They're really great for serving, like try to make the ice cream look a little fancier. If you have company, put in a parfait glass, pour it over. It looks so cute. And keep the juice over it. It tastes really good and gives it a slightly melty texture. It is quite good and feels like a luxurious dessert for really not much more money at all, Steve.
And I can actually elaborate on that.
Sure.
Done these before as well. In addition to taking the canned fruit, the ice cream trick is good, but you can also put it on top of yogurt and you can also put it on cottage cheese if you like cottage cheese. If you don't like cottage cheese, it might be a little bit of an issue. But I do know this. If you don't like cottage cheese in its exact state, putting the fruit down with the juice does change the complexity of it. It's one of those things you'll have to try it and see what I mean before you pass judgment on it because It's actually pretty good. I found out about that trick when I was a teenager when I actually went and lost weight at a fitness club, but I lost the weight too fast. I lost about 4, and there is a little rule that I do know about weight loss because I have taken off a good 100 pounds. If you lose it too fast, you put it right back on in a hurry. So be careful when you do that. But in the course of me being there, that was one of the things. They said if you're hungry and you want a snack instead of reaching for a candy bar or something sweet, try that. It's not
Yeah.
half bad. It's not half bad, but before you pass judgment on it, give it a whirl before you.
And canned fruit is actually not that expensive. And in a way, it's a saver. Instead of buying fresh produce that you may not eat in time and ends up going to waste. So I really suggest to always keep canned fruit and canned veggies on hand. I want to thank everyone for being here. Steve, especially want to thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And don't forget to head to the Everywhere with Steve Young 74 channel. It's easy to get to. He is newly monetized. It would warm my heart if I saw someone send a little, like, super thanks. He could be asleep and receive one. It's very easy. You just click on the little heart with the little dollar sign. It would make my day to see someone do that. Just saying. All right, Steve, thank you so much for being here. Thank
You're welcome.
everybody. But I don't want to forget to do this either. Hang on. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Take good care. Bye bye. Bye bye, Steve.
Bye, Jan.